Hi all, hope all is well. On today's episode of Adventures in Droning, we have been tasked with spraying paint remover onto the rooftops of greenhouses. Now you may be asking, why on earth would we be spraying paint remover onto the roofs of greenhouses? The main reason is purely because during the summer, greenhouses like to paint their rooftops white to reflect the heat out of the greenhouses, and it has a significant effect on the temperature inside the greenhouses as well. I've heard up to 5 degrees difference at times. So basically what they do is they monitor the lux, so how much sunlight is actually coming through the rooftops, and then at a certain period of time in the year they'll actually put in a request for us to come in and actually spray the paint remover back onto the rooftops to strip the paint off. Now we also apply the paint, so that's normally a summertime job, and then during the winter, as I've said, we actually go in and we remove it. Now as you can see here, this is all drone footage using a Mavic Enterprise, so it's just a small little photographic drone for videoing, and you can see some magnificent footage of the actual drone in operation. So the drone that is in operation is the P100 Pro, XAG P100 Pro. So it's an XAG drone, and it is quite possibly the best agricultural drone on the market. In fact, I'm yet to see anything else beat it in regards to reliability. Pretty much if you put this drone out there, you can be rest assured that it is coming back. And so far, I've always had the drone return. I've never had one not return. So if I'm putting it out to work, I can be pretty confident that it's going to return. Now, it is not without its hang-ups, of course. One of the biggest issues for drone operators such as ourselves is during the planning phase. The flight planning phase is the biggest part of the job. So for a job such as you see here, spraying the rooftops of a greenhouse, you can imagine that there could potentially be quite a few obstacles involved. One of the biggest obstacles, of course, is the rooftops themselves. So you want to be making sure that you're flying above the rooftop. And these flights, they're not terrain tracing. So if it was a terrain tracing operation, the drone would actually sense the edge of the rooftops themselves, and as it senses the edge of the rooftops, instead of flying 2 meters above the rooftop, it would actually fly right down to the ground level and 2 meters above the ground level. So for that reason, we actually do fixed height operations. So there is no terrain tracing used in this job. It's a fixed height operation. And for that reason, you want to make sure you get your heights right. So pretty much the way it works is we'll put the drone up early on in the operations and we'll measure the height of the greenhouses themselves. And pretty much from there, we'll measure the other end as well, because sometimes there's a fall in the greenhouse and it could be up to 2 meters. So say if it's 11 meters at one end, it might be 13 meters high at the other end. And if it's a fixed height operation, we need to make sure that we are flying well above that for the entire operation. So say if there was a difference, 11 meters at one end and say 13 at the other, we would ensure we're flying at 15 meters high for the entire operation. And this would ensure that we get the job done without any risks associated with actually hitting the rooftop. The other issue as well with using terrain tracing, so if the drone was terrain tracing over the top of the greenhouses, you can actually see that they're not uniform. They're up and down, so they have apexes and valleys, and the drone would sense these as well. So the drone would be up and down continuously during this operation, and we want to do everything in our power to actually restrict that from happening as well. Now this material goes on quite heavy. I think it was 700 litres a hectare, so it's an extremely dense product. There is quite a bit involved in actually applying it. It's a very slow operation, and the route spacings are very close together as well. So normally out in the field, we'll fly 6 meter route spacing. So between flights, there'll be 6 meters. But on a rooftop such as this, it can be as little as 1 meter or even 1.5 meters. And the speed of the drone will actually be about 1.5 to 2 meters as well per second. So it's quite a slow operation. And we need to go that slow to actually get the output out. If you go any faster, the drone can't keep up with the output through the pumps, and you're restricted with the quantity you can apply per hectare. So there is quite a bit to think about. It is a bit of a process, but if you spend the time to actually do your flight planning right and you mark out any potential obstacles, one big obstacle that we do find from time to time is antennas. Antennas are drone killers. And if you happen to miss one, there's a very good chance you're not going to get your drone back. And worse yet, it could land on the rooftop. It could land through the rooftop. And during these operations, you want to make sure that you're communicating with the people in the area as well. You can't have anyone operating underneath these drones while they're operating, or pretty much anywhere 30 meters within them. So we request that all people and all personnel are actually removed from the buildings when we are spraying them. And you coordinate that with the managers, and they make sure that no one's in the buildings when we spray them, and then we can go ahead and get the job done. Now, one of the benefits of actually doing the job using a drone such as the XAG P100 Pro is that you keep personnel off the roof. So it's extremely dangerous. Once upon a time, or most of the time, even today, people all over the world are painting these greenhouses using manpower, basically up on ladders, walking the gutters with paint rollers, applying the stripper to the rooftops to actually remove it. And as you can imagine, this would be an extremely dangerous process, and I've heard so many horror stories in regards to these types of operations. So having the P100 Pro to apply this paint stripper, this sodium hydroxide product, is actually extremely beneficial to health and safety and to the personnel as well. And it's very efficient as well. So an operation such as this takes about 2.5 hours. This block that you're looking at here, this entire block of greenhouses, is about 2 hectares in size. So it is quite substantial. However, we've taken a job that once took between 1 and 2 weeks to do, with possibly 10 to 15 workmen applying this substance onto the rooftops to remove the paint. We've taken that job from 2 to 3 weeks down to 2.5 hours. So it just goes to show you how much more efficient it is to actually run a drone like a P100 Pro over the top of your greenhouses to apply the paint, and also to apply the paint stripper as well. You can also see in this footage just how precise the drone is operating as well. So it's actually operating in VRTK mode. So it's not GPS and it's not RTK. It's an amalgamation of the two. It's called VRTK. So it's using the Arc 3 controller from XAG, and it's also using the GPS satellites in the atmosphere, and it's also using the drone to triangulate its position. So once you've marked out the field and you've actually offset your map to be absolutely precise, so offsetting is a technique we use by parking the drone over the corner of the job and then offsetting the entire map to it so we get absolute precision. Once you've done that, you can be absolutely assured that you're going to get a perfect job. So it's not quite perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect spray job, but it is as close to perfect as you're going to get with a drone. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this insight into applying paint stripper onto the rooftops of greenhouses. The footage is absolutely amazing to look at. I'm so glad that my drone actually worked this time to capture this footage. Last time, if you go back into Adventures in Droning, episode 11, I believe it is, you can actually see some footage where my Mavic, so my Mavic Enterprise, DJI Mavic Enterprise, actually emergency landed on the rooftop. Obviously, we got it off and put it back up in the air, and we were very successful in capturing this footage. And that's it for today's episode of Adventures in Droning. If you appreciated the content, or if you got any information out of this video at all that was of value to you, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe as well. I appreciate all the new subscribers I can get. Don't hesitate to comment as well. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Bye.